Every night, something came out of the forest. I live on the edge of a small town that most people only pass through. One gas station, one grocery store, a post office that closes before sunset. My house is the last one on the road. Beyond it, there's an overgrown field choked with weeds, an old dirt path that hasn't been used in years, and the forest, a dense, silent forest, the kind of forest where sound feels wrong, where even wind seems afraid to move. When I first moved here, people warned me. They didn't do it dramatically. No wild gestures or ghost stories told for fun. They spoke quietly, carefully, like they were discussing a sickness. Strange things happen at night, they said. Lock your doors and don't go into the trees after dark. One old man lingered longer than the rest. He smelled like tobacco and rain. Before leaving, he leaned close and whispered, "It learns you." I laughed it off. People in isolated places always invent stories. Fear needs explanations. Monsters are easier than admitting the dark is just empty. For the first few weeks, everything was quiet. Then it started. The first night, it was just past midnight when I heard it. Footsteps, slow, heavy, deliberate. They came from the direction of the forest. At first, I thought it was my imagination. Old houses settle, trees creak, but these were footsteps, each one separated by a pause, like whoever or whatever was walking needed time to decide where to put its weight. I looked out the front window. At the edge of the tree stood a shape, tall, too tall. It didn't move, didn't sway, didn't breathe. It was darker than the darkness around it, like a hole cut into the night. I strained to make out details, but there were none. Just a silhouette. After several seconds, it turned and walked back into the forest. I stood there for a long time after it vanished, convincing myself it was a trick of shadows. I went back to bed. I slept poorly. The second night, the next night, it returned. This time, it didn't stop at the edge of the trees. It stepped out into the field. Moonlight revealed just enough to make my stomach twist. Its body proportions were wrong. Legs too long, arms hanging lower than they should. When it walked, its joints bent at odd angles, as if it wasn't sure how they were meant to work. It stopped halfway between the forest and my house, and it stayed there, watching. I could feel its attention like pressure behind my eyes. I turned off the lights and lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling until morning. The third night, it was closer, standing near the old fence at the edge of my property. That's when I noticed something new. It had learned. The awkward jerking movements were gone. Its steps were smoother, more balanced, like it had been practicing, like it had been correcting mistakes. It tilted its head toward my house, listening. I called the police the next morning. They drove out, looked around, found nothing. No tracks, no damage, no evidence anyone had been there. One officer avoided looking toward the forest. "Probably a prank," he said, but his hand stayed on his holster the entire time. By the fourth night, I could see its outline clearly through the window. Long arms, narrow shoulders, fingers that dragged against the grass. Its head was slightly tilted, frozen in that position for hours, as if it were memorizing the shape of my house, the doors, the windows. That's when I realized something worse than its presence. It wasn't just coming closer, it was studying me. The fifth night, that night, it stood on my lawn, close enough that I could hear it breathing. Not animal breathing, not human, something slow and wet, like air being pulled through damaged lungs. Each inhale rattled, each exhale hissed. I locked every door, every window. I turned off all the lights and hid in the hallway, clutching a kitchen knife I knew wouldn't help. It didn't move for hours, just stood there, waiting. At some point, I realized it was standing exactly where I usually stood when I smoked at night. The sixth night, I woke up to scratching, fingernails against wood, soft at first, curious, almost gentle, then harder, testing. The sound moved along the wall, pausing at each window, measuring, learning resistance. I held my breath. The scratching stopped. For a moment, I thought it had left. Then I heard its voice. It wasn't words. It was an imitation, a broken attempt at human sound, like someone replaying speech through a damaged speaker, pitch rising and falling incorrectly, vowels stretched too long. It was practicing. The seventh night. On the seventh night, it came to the door. I saw its face for the first time. There were no eyes, just smooth, pale skin where they should have been. No nose, only shallow indentations. Its mouth stretched too wide, lips splitting at the corners, opening and closing slowly. Like it was remembering how mouths worked, it knocked. Once, then again, harder. Each knock came at the exact rhythm I used when visiting neighbors. The night it spoke. It didn't knock the next night. It slammed itself against the door. The impact shook the walls. The windows rattled violently. Plaster cracked. I screamed for help, but the sound died before it reached the trees. The forest swallowed everything. The door began to split. Wood groaned, and then it spoke clearly for the first time, in my voice. Let me in. Perfect. Even my hesitation, even the way my voice slightly cracked at the end. That's when I understood. It wasn't trying to break into my house. It was trying to replace me. The memory. Something surfaced in my mind then. My first day in town, unpacking boxes, feeling brave, curious. I had walked into the forest, just a little way. The air had been colder there, still, like the trees were holding their breath. I remembered the feeling of being watched. I remembered turning around and seeing nothing, but something had followed me back. The escape. The door finally gave way. Wood snapped. I ran out the back, across the field. Thorns tore at my legs. Cold air burned my lungs. I didn't look back. I crossed into the forest. Behind me, I heard it laugh, not mocking, relieved, like a thing that had finally solved a puzzle. The aftermath. The police found the house the next morning. No signs of a struggle, no footprints leading away, just lights left on in every room. The neighbors said I'd been acting strange lately, quiet, different. They said I waved at them from the porch that morning, from the wrong side of the house. Now I watch from the trees, every night. The thing wears my face better now. It walks like me, talks like me, sleeps in my bed, and every night when the lights in my house turn on, I feel it learning something new. I stay in the forest because it allows me to. That was the first thing I learned after crossing the tree line. The forest is not empty. It is not alive in the way animals are alive, but it is aware. Every step I take feels measured. Every breath feels counted. When I move too far in one direction, branches bend back into place behind me, quietly suggesting I should not go that way. The thing never chases me. It doesn't need to. It knows where I am. Sometimes I hear it walking near the edge of the trees, matching my pace from the other side. Sometimes I hear my own footsteps when I am standing still. The forest remembers sounds. The old man was right. The old man from town comes into my thoughts often. I see him now, clearer than before. The way his hands shook, the way his eyes never settled on one place for too long. He had survived. That was the difference. People who leave warnings aren't brave. They're leftovers. I think he went into the forest too. I think he made it back out, but something followed him for a while. Maybe it failed. Maybe it found someone else easier. Maybe that's why he smelled like rain. The forest doesn't let everyone keep their shape. It practices at night from the trees. I can see the house, my house. At night, the lights turn on room by room, not all at once, slowly, methodically, like it's checking to make sure each space still exists. Sometimes it stands in front of the mirror. I know because I remember where the mirror is. I remember the way the hallway light reflects off it. I imagine it touching my face, pulling at the skin, checking the edges. I wonder if it feels anything when it looks at itself. Visitors. People come to the house, neighbors, friends, the police, once more. The thing answers the door. It speaks carefully, listens more than it talks, lets others fill the silence. Humans hate silence. They rush to cover it with themselves. It learns faster that way. Once, a woman stayed too long. I watched from the trees as she laughed on the porch, watched as the thing laughed with her, half a second too late. She never came back. After that, the thing adjusted its timing. The dreams, I don't sleep the way I used to. When I close my eyes, I don't dream. I remember. The forest feeds on memory, not to steal it, to understand it. Sometimes I feel it pressing against my thoughts, gently rearranging them, showing me moments I had forgotten, small things, habits, fears. I think it's preparing me for something. The first time it came back, it found me on the 13th night. I was sitting against a tree watching the house when the forest went quiet. Too quiet. No insects, no wind, no movement. Then I heard breathing, that same wet, careful sound. It stood just beyond the reach of the moonlight, wearing my face like a mask that hadn't been adjusted properly. Its smile was wrong again, too wide, too still. It didn't come closer. It didn't need to. "I'm almost finished," it said. My voice, my tone. "I just need to understand what happens to you." What happens to those who stay? I wanted to run. The forest didn't let me. Roots pressed against my legs. Branches leaned inward, not trapping me, reminding me. This was where I belonged now. The thing tilted its head, copying an old habit of mine. "You're teaching it," I realized. The forest. It wasn't just letting the thing learn from me. It was letting me learn from it. The forest doesn't hate replacements. It perfects them. The cycle. I understand it now. The forest doesn't want bodies, it wants patterns. Lives are just templates. The thing will finish becoming me. It will live, age, change. Eventually, it will make a mistake big enough that someone notices, someone curious, someone new, and the forest will open. The weight I don't try to leave anymore. I watch. Every night the lights in my house turn on. Every night I feel the forest listening, and every night something deep among the trees practices my footsteps, slow, heavy, learning where to place them.